Technology is the most powerful change in the world of education.
Everything changes.
Welcome to the Emerging Technologies in Education podcast, delivered to you by Clever Books Company. Dear listeners, thank you for joining the Emerging Technologies in Education podcast series, and I have a wonderful guest today, and I want to give the word to the guest to introduce herself, tell which country she's coming from, and what she does professionally.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure being on. I'm Lisa Coates, and I am from stateside. I'm here in Richmond, Virginia, on the East Coast of the United States. And I'm currently a special education teacher leader in the public school, Chesterfield County Public Schools, where I am a collaborative science teacher, where I serve both with a general education teacher and support students with a gamut of disabilities, and also their case manager with a strong interest in the STEAM, science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math.
Impressive, Lisa. So it's a pleasure to have you here on the podcast. And I would like to ask you the first question. So the question is how do you feel about using technology in the classroom or for education in general? And if you're positive about that, then why?
Sure. So technology, I feel two-pronged. It definitely, for working with students with special needs, it's definitely can level the playing field for them to be able to access the curriculum, to be very creative and innovative of how you can present information and get students to understand information. But again, also with that becomes a learning curve, not only for students sometimes, because a lot of them are digital natives, but for teachers to kind of get to understand and grasp the concepts of using technology and how you can effectively integrate that into a class lesson that is meaningful and engaging. So again, it's a two-pronged situation for me, but overall I think it's positive. It's here to stay. Most of our kids, they grew up with technology, so they understand it, and it's a great way to make connections with students.
I like your point that it's a great way to make connections with students, and especially in digital age where everybody almost has a tablet or a phone, and they definitely do something with that. And I think it's also the chance for teachers to get engaged with the students at the level of technology and show that they're actually also there, and technology can be used for multiple purposes, and one of them is education as well. So I like your point here. And can we drill a little bit more deeply, and maybe you can share your experience and also point of view which technology is good for the classroom or for a specific subject or a specific group of kids, and maybe give some examples.
Sure. Right now what we use is we have a one-to-one laptop initiative with our students. So all of our students have laptops, and we are really embracing Google Classroom, which is a platform where we can send out information to students and lessons and be very interactive. So they necessarily don't have to be in class. So if they miss a lesson, they can log on and see what was being done for the day. I'm able to record my lectures and upload them to the Google Classroom for students to go back. I can use different modalities of them being able to gauge with, lectures and go back and stop and rewind if they miss something. So that has really been accessible for, students to reach. And with the Google Classroom and even the laptop initiative, you're teaching kids that be organized. Everything is on the laptop, so you're not losing the papers in the shuffle because everything is right there. More specifically, what teaching science, what I really like is the fact that students can engage in different modalities like I talked about. For example, if you're dissecting, we don't have to have live specimens. We can do it interactively and virtually. And, it becomes sort of like a video game for some students because, fail fast and fail often may be a mantra that maybe developers in Silicon Valley use, but we're really taking kids to that opportunity to take risks and get rewards. And so it's a great modality for them to practice without feeling like they're going to mess something up or they're not going to be successful, because you can restart again. And, kids really like that because it's like a video game. If they don't succeed in the video game, they restart again.
That sounds really interesting. And is it like that's more of a like Google Classroom? That's something I've heard a lot, and I think it's really useful tool. And I like your point that to study science, you actually can watch the video and use something that you don't need to search and hunt for any spaces in order to kind of bring the lesson and show to the kids. And I want to hear your point of view on maybe if you have some experience or you've heard or maybe you investigated the topic of using some emerging technologies like maybe virtual reality or augmented reality in the classroom.
Absolutely. We use the Google goggles per se to in past years or even now, like we've used them to take a virtual dive into a human cell or an animal cell. So the kids are actually virtually with these little Google goggles on, VR goggles, can actually go in and be inside the cell to see the mitochondria, to see the nucleus. And it's very interesting to see them engage with that because they're actually inside something that they wouldn't necessarily be able to get inside of per se. And also, I know other colleagues that use virtual field trips, 3D virtual field trips to take their students to really make a connection so they understand. So for say if they were learning about the Dust Bowl during, the Great Depression time, they could log in and go there and see what it was like. So you're making those connections, and students who necessarily may not have those experiences can actually connect and understand the content so much more deeper.
That's interesting, and it's really great to hear from teachers like you and educators like you that there is a wide interest in different technologies in the classroom. And I definitely think that you're right with the point that technology is something that is going to shape the education. It's going to stay there, and it's just a matter of selecting those tools who will enhance the whole teaching process and help out the teacher as well. And if you follow any specific maybe resources or media in order to keep yourself on track of using technology, maybe you can share them.
Absolutely. So again, I'm a strong component of Google. Google offers different certificates and badges for teachers to earn. You can become Google certified as you work up the ranks. And so it really keeps you abreast. It's a great professional development so you understand the tools and how to apply them in your classroom. Also for literature purposes, EdTech K-12, which is put out by ASCD, which is the Association for Curriculum Development. And EdTech really keeps me up to date on different technologies and teacher perspective and how the technology solutions are really driving education. So I really enjoyed that. And then, believe it or not, just my Twitter feed, seeing with other colleagues in Twitter, it could bring you to a link, and it's amazing what you can learn off of Twitter, technology and different links and what people are doing, because everyone's so virtual now that they're sharing a lot of their experiences in the classroom, especially around technology.
Thank you so much. And I have another question to you, like using the benefit that you are based in the US. Maybe you can share with the listeners what's the current state, like among your colleagues and from what you hear, what's the current state of general the use of technology for the classroom, and how do you see it's developing in the next 3 to 5 years?
Sure, definitely. It's a culture change right now with technology because, some teachers who may have not been educated that way are having to learn how to grasp that this is here in the classrooms, this is how the kids access, this is what they know. So really learning how to embrace it and use it, that it's meaningful in the classroom, not just as something that, you have to do. Like, how can you find the most meaningful apps or activities that arrange it? But, as far as like problem-based learning and STEM and problem solving, we are moving more and more into, a further digital age, but we're moving also further into an age that education is outside our boundaries and our borders. It's universal. It's widespread. So being able to learn how to communicate and collaborate and problem solve virtually, even as if we're doing today on this podcast, to be able to have these conversations and understand those modalities and how we can now interact so much and problem solve with a wide variety of individuals that are across the world. And that's what's really going to, be the edge of technology as far as being able to innovate and problem solve and to sustain culture per se.
This is a brilliant thought was right now, that you are able now as a teacher not only just to rotate in your environment, but also collaborate with people around the world and share the ideas. And I think it's one of the most powerful benefits that we have from technology, this interconnection and the ideas that other teachers are using somewhere on the other part of the world that could be actually brought into your classroom, and you can experiment and so on. Like really, really great idea. And
absolutely. It's become almost like, music is a universal language. It seems that technology is this new universal language.
Absolutely. And I think, if we have it here, we need to use it at our benefit. And if we see that this is something that will be helpful, why not? And why resist that? We're coming here to the next question that I have to you. Like me and you, we are definitely people who are for using technology in the classroom, and we see the benefits, but sometimes we meet people who might be a little bit resistant, or maybe like it's outside their comfort zone to start using something technological in the classroom. How do you normally talk to those people, and how would you try to persuade them to come to the technology side, or how do you like share your experience with them so they kind of start being keen on using technology?
Sure thing. And it definitely is, if you have those individuals that are not, comfortable around technology. And, there's a couple solutions to that is, if you know someone, a colleague or a teacher that is very strong in technology, inviting them into your space, break down that silo, have that individual come into your classroom and see how you're utilizing it and see how it's done. Because then like that nervousness kind of washes away per se when they're inside the classroom and they see it. And then just starting small, starting small, set a small goal that maybe this 9 weeks or this semester, however you do it, you're going to just, integrate technology for one major activity or lesson. And then, reflecting on that. Reflection is a huge piece, not only for students, but for adults. And, what did you get out of it? What were the pros? What were the cons? Because to move forward, you can use those reflections to build upon your next lesson or your next activity to become more comfortable. But the thing that I always say is you're just going to have to try it. You may fail. It may not go great, but you're not going to know unless you try.
This is like brilliant set of mind. You just go, you just try. Sometimes it's not going the way you planned, but like keep on trying, and you're gonna get to the point that when you can accommodate some technology that will be useful for you. This is like really appreciate these thoughts, and yeah, I would like to thank you so much, Lisa, for your time and for the ideas you've shared. All the links will be in the podcast description, and I thank you so much, and I wish you to have a great day.
Thank you so much. I was honored.
Everything changes.